Yo, I for real heard you got married to a golden retriever human hybrid. Is that true?
Like my grandma used to say, anything goes in the pod.
This is Nothing Gained
Nothing ventured.
with Allison.
And Virgil.
Oh, well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is a podcast. Isn't that right, Allison?
It is definitely a podcast, and we're broadcasting live from Glorious Quarantine.
Glorious, glorious quarantine. What day is it, Allison?
I think this is like day 7,641.
Sounds about right.
You know that song Battle Hymn of the Republic? You know that one?
Oh, that old slap, that old banger. Oh, yeah, of course. I got that on deck at all times. So you know what? That's like my number one played song on my iPod.
Is it? Like if you went back through like Spotify and be like songs that you really dug in 2019, be Battle Hymn of the Republic.
Yeah.
But the reason I'm bringing this up is that song has had a couple of different iterations since its inception, and it was first John Brown's Body, right?
Okay.
So I'm just wondering if somebody's going to rewrite the lyrics, as people have done for over a century now, to that song to reflect life in the time of glorious quarantine.
That would be a very boring song. I can't mock the original song because I can't picture what it is or can't hear it in my head. So, but I can't imagine that a song based off of this quarantine would garner any public favor.
Well, I mean, the first iteration of the song, which was about the abolitionist John Brown, the lyrics weren't that exciting. It was John Brown's body lies moldering in the grave.
Well, hey, that's pretty apt for, I think, what's going on around us now.
Right, our bodies lie moldering on our couches in front of CNN nonstop.
Yeah, jeez.
Fuck.
So, what are we talking about today, Allison? I mean, I've done some research. You've done some research.
Yeah, I think
what's on the tippity tip of your tippity tongue?
I think we should start kind of where we left off last time with the topic of drugs.
Drugs.
This
podcast is brought to you by illicit drugs. Do you use them? Well, be careful because that's illegal.
And also not illicit drugs, which is what we're going to get to in just a moment. You know, yesterday morning, as I was taking my many pills, as always, stage 4 metastatic breast cancer brings you this podcast. But one of the pills I take is not related to my disease. It's related to the disease of my mind. So it's an antidepressant.
Uh-huh.
And I thought to myself, can I take 2 of these? Like just to get me through? Like, can I double up?
Double up? Yeah. I don't think it works that way.
No, I don't think it does. And so I didn't do it. Just the way I wouldn't take hydroxychloroquine.
Wow. Yeah, I wouldn't take that at all. What is hydroxychloroquine, Allison?
Well, to my knowledge, it was first used as an anti-malarial drug. Hold on 1 second. I've got to get the fucking dog off the back of the couch. Because if he falls off, it's all over. That it was used to treat, malaria. Or I don't know if it was to treat it or to prevent it, but it was something to do with malaria. And now doctors use it for some forms of lupus, some forms of autoimmune diseases. But that's about it.
Yeah.
But Virgil, why are we talking about hydroxychloroquine? I mean, what is the significance? We were talking about weed. Everybody gets the significance of weed, but why is this?
Well, Allison, our beloved Supreme Commander-in-Chief ruler, Donald J. Trump, seems to have as the Forbes magazine and Business Insider put it, a small, insignificant stake in hydroxychloroquine stock.
And the fact is, he does have a very small share in the big company that owns a subsidiary that produces hydroxychloroquine, but not enough of a share that it would even, it wouldn't be a motivating, would be no, it wouldn't, it would be pennies. So there's no reason he'd be pushing this for a financial gain, right?
Sure.
But he's been pushing this drug, and in one of the recent press briefings that he gave, he said that he may take it. He was kind of blustering and, frustrated because he was getting asked legitimate, logical questions by the press. And,
nothing frustrates him more than logical questions.
And pretty straightforward questions like, should Americans take hydroxychloroquine? What do you mean by that? And he's, blustering and getting flustered. And he said, well, I may take it. And I didn't really know what he meant by that. Like, was he gonna like take it now? like just as a precaution, start taking anti-malarial drug? I don't know what that means.
Yeah, he's doubling up on the anti-coronavirus. He's like, look, I'll just take it as a precautionary measure.
So, it's like, if this is not for financial gain, then why is he promoting this drug? So you and I both did a little searching into that. What'd you find out?
One of the things I just wanted to mention too is that we've gotten to such a morally relative time that now, like, presidents are not supposed to be invested in anything. They're supposed to divest from every financial pursuit that they have. I mean, fucking Jimmy Carter divested in his shitty little peanut farm when he became president of the United States so that there would be no conflicts of interest. Presidents
but that was Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter, as we established last week, was a wuss.
Yeah, he's a fucking, what a goddamn liberal cuck.
Obeying the Constitution.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here, you pussy. I do whatever I want with the Constitution. But it's like we just
whatever I want with the Constitution.
We've just become so accustomed to Trump doing whatever the fuck he wants with the Constitution that even when we defend him even when we don't mean to, because we're like, well, he's just minorly conflicted by owning stock in a drug that he's now peddling on live TV.
Right.
But I mean, I just want to say, I think we're, kind of, a lot of people are missing the point there that he should have no conflicts of interest in terms of presidency and business interest. But anyway, why do you think he's peddling it so hard if he doesn't stand to gain financially? Well,
I mean, I did a little digging into this because when I first saw somebody share a Huffington Post article in my news feed that he had a share in the stock in the company, I was like, well, that'd be too easy, right? Too easy of a reason for him to be promoting this. Not that we would give a shit, because as you said, we don't care about those things anymore. But I read an article in the Washington Post, and the name of the author is escaping me, and maybe I'll drop the link in the comments later. But he was saying that it's really a matter of him gambling on possibly being right? Because if he's correct about this and hydroxychloroquine actually works, then he can say, fuck all you experts. I'm smarter than everybody. I'm smarter than Fauci. I'm smarter than Birx. I'm smarter than Albert Einstein. I figured this one out. He's willing to take that chance. He's also being advised by a very interesting collection of human beings.
Oh, please tell me who it is, please.
Well, and these people are actually 6 degrees, not even 6 degrees from Steven Seagal, and I'll get to that in a minute. But no, this is the weirdest fucking thing. So he's getting advice from Dr. Oz. Now,
of course.
Do you know much about Dr. Oz, Virgil?
I know he's a fucking snake oil salesman, fucking old-timey charlatan with coiffed hair.
Yeah, he's a total fucking quack, and good on him. Like, he's made his money. Like, he's like the Gwyneth Paltrow of doctors.
Yeah, he is.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
I'm surprised he's never advertised any of the jade vagina eggs that she sells.
I was gonna say they need to team up and say, like, all ladies need garlic scented soy candles to put in their hoo-has.
Yeah, he's like, look, I'm just looking out for women's safety. So take this porous rock and shove it up your vagina.
So he's a quack. So he's been advising Trump. Giuliani, who has kind of fallen off the radar, is back on the scene. And, if I was going to take medical advice from anyone, it would be Rudy Giuliani.
Hell yeah.
I mean,
a guy whose teeth, top and bottom teeth, his bottom teeth look like they're a different nationality than his top teeth.
He looks like old Nosferatu, like old movie Nosferatu.
He does, bro. My God.
Maybe he knows a thing or two about viruses. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
he's like, you know what we should do? We should do bloodletting. Bloodletting sounds perfect.
Right. I mean, if he got the advice from this doctor that he's been listening to, so Giuliani's listening.
Yeah, who's the doctor?
His name is Vladimir Zelenko, and the right loves him because he's very homespun and he's full of shit.
And he sounds like a Russian agent, which they're very fond of on the right.
They love the fucking Russians. I'm surprised that, they're not taking medical advice from fucking Putin. Although I would take advice from Putin over Giuliani. I mean, Putin is ripped. Like, he's fit.
Yeah, yeah.
Putin doesn't mess around with his health, I can tell. But in any case, Vladimir Zelenko is some right-wing nut job doctor who describes himself. This is his tagline.
Okay.
He's a simple country doctor.
Oh, I tell you what, I'm just a simple country doctor living in Soviet Russia out on the countryside.
Well, and I don't know about you, but I know when I have any sort of serious ailment, I tell the medical facility, I just want a simple country doctor.
I just want a simple country doctor that's going to come out and cure my coronavirus with a warm towel on the forehead and a shot of whiskey.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you really want, right? So that's who Giuliani's being advised by. But Giuliani is also being advised by a pharmacist.
Of course.
He fucking went to Walgreens.
Of course. Yeah, he's like,
what do you think will cure this coronavirus?
Yeah. Talking to the pharmacist is like, sir, I make $15 an hour, so I can assure you I don't know. Please go to the back of the line.
Right. I don't think this person was a Walgreens pharmacist. It was this guy named, I wrote it down somewhere, Julius Nasso. All these names sound very malevolent. These are bad people.
My name is Julius Caesar Alexander the Great Nasso.
And then Vladimir Zelenko. I mean, it sounds like a fucking 60s spy movie.
Seriously. What is this? Dr. No is fucking... fucking
James Bond movie?
Yeah, is 007 gonna pop out of nowhere?
But these are who are advising Giuliani, and through them, he's advising the president. The best part, though, about this Nasso guy, aside from the fact he's just some pharmacist no one's ever heard of, is that he spent a year in prison. And the reason he spent... Well, let me ask you a question before I share this story.
Yeah,
if
please.
If you were going to extort any celebrity, who would it be and why?
Probably John Goodman. I mean, he's famous enough to be rich. You know what I mean? He's been in enough films. Goodman. But, I don't think anybody would care enough about him if I robbed him for all his goods.
Right. And you might actually get away with it because he's he's not on the radar enough. So I'm trying to think who I would extort.
Yeah, who would you extort?
That I could get away with?
Yeah.
Probably like Mario Lopez or
Mario Lopez.
Really, any cast member from the original Saved by the Bell.
Yo, I would rob the shit out of Screech. Boy, I'd be like, you know what? Half of your yearly income is coming to me now, or I swear to God.
But get this, Screech, I know we're going far afield now. I can't think of his real name, but he
Jared, not Jared Diamond, Dustin Diamond.
Dustin Diamond, which
Yeah.
I'm so sure that's his real name.
Double D.
Double D. When I was in Wisconsin, living in Wisconsin, he was in the news a lot because he lived in Wisconsin and had lost all of his money and was making porn to pay for his mortgage.
Okay, maybe I wouldn't rob that poor
So, I
fellow.
mean, you'd have to like pimp him out, like in order to get, what was coming to you. So he might be a poor choice of the cast.
You're not getting Saved by the Bell today, bitch. Where's my 20?
But I think Mario Lopez is doing okay enough. Like he gets thrown a bone once in a while. Like he can be on Dancing with the Stars or something.
You know what? You know who I would rob? Or who I would extort?
Who?
Is what's his name? Uncle Jesse from
John Stamos.
John Stamos. Yeah, I would definitely extort John Stamos. You know what I mean?
He's another one because his relevance has passed. So
right, but he still makes, people still remember who he is, so he still makes a little bit of cheddar here and there, some Cheddar Bay biscuits.
Who was the guy who did the big Ponzi scheme in the in the mid 2000s?
The big Ponzi scheme.
Bernie Madoff?
Oh, Bernie Madoff. Yeah, I think,
it was Madoff. I don't want to confuse him with the Enron guys. It was a different kind of scam. But Bernie Madoff managed finances for I think Tom Hanks and John Malkovich. And part of that is why everybody knew who Bernie Madoff was. Because he fucking extorted. Well, I don't know if his was extortion. It was extortion. It was fraud, at least.
yeah.
These big name celebrities. But the reason we've never heard of this Julius Nasso character is because he extorted somebody that virtually no one cares about, but who is famous.
Who? Tell me.
Steven Seagal.
This just keeps getting better. This just keeps getting better, dude. Do you know? Okay, first of all, did you know that Steven Seagal is a sheriff's deputy in Louisiana, of all places.
For real?
Yeah, here, let me
He's
double
got a
check
job?
He does. I swear to God, people still hire that pile of uncooked biscuit dough to train their fucking police forces how to do hand-to-hand combat.
But why does he have to have a job? Is he broke?
I have no idea. I think he's just bored. Also, he's a foreign diplomat for Russia. I swear to God.
What?
Him and Vladimir Putin are hella tight.
Shut up.
I'm not kidding. This dude is the weirdest dude on earth. He's a sheriff's deputy. He trains. The guy can barely move, and he's training 20 and 30-year-olds how to do karate and stuff.
So we've basically cracked this. So Trump's promotion of hydroxychloroquine links back to Steven Seagal, who links back to Vladimir Putin.
Bam. Whoa, we're a couple of
So
sleuths.
Putin is whispering in, God, we're who were those two that busted Nixon, the journalists?
Oh yeah, Stone and
I don't know. The one guy, I should know this, but
I think it was Inspector Gadget and Carmen Sandiego.
Or Carmen Sandiego. That's fine too. Yeah. This is my brain on quarantine. I cannot this is a very common deep throat. Whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. We're like those two, whoever they are.
It doesn't matter.
I'm sure I'll see the one guy because he's always on CNN, and I'm always watching CNN. How's your news consumption, Virgil?
I haven't been watching direct news. I think the only news consumption I get is when I'm doing research for these podcasts.
So you don't watch CNN, you don't watch the nightly local news?
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, I overheard Fox 10 this morning, defending Doug Ducey's. Doug Ducey is the governor, for those of you who don't know, the governor of Arizona, who is now saying that it's not necessary to implement shelter-in-place restrictions for the state of Arizona. And Fox 10 News was trying to like defend his decision, and they were saying like, well, we haven't had as many deaths lately except for New York, so maybe the curve's flattening. Fucking
So Arizona is the Steven Seagal of states. Nobody gives a shit about us. This has not been, and I've been watching CNN constantly, which is probably really bad for my mental health. Woodward and Bernstein, those were the journalists who busted Nixon. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
But they talk about like Louisiana, they talk about New York, they talk about Washington. They don't give a fuck about Arizona.
Nope.
They talk
Not
about
at all.
Illinois and Wisconsin. I think they want Arizona to die of coronavirus.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, according to all the actions from our governor, probably.
Although that wouldn't make sense because Trump needs Arizona.
Oh, yes, he does.
He needs us to take that hydroxychloroquine and live.
Yeah. Every time you say hydroxychloroquine, I think of Hydroxycut, the like methamphetamine people use to lose weight.
Oh yeah, it's good stuff.
Hell yeah, it is. Get you some of that nasal drip.
Do they even make that anymore? The Hydroxycut?
I think only for Donald Trump.
Well, he's looking good. It's clearly working for him.
Yeah, it is. He's down to. He's probably since his last weigh-in was what 200 pounds. He's probably like 85 pounds now.
I can't tell when I see him on television, but you know, television adds a lot of weight.
Yeah, it does. It adds like 100 pounds. I think that's the going rate.
What they say is the camera adds 100 pounds. At least that's what I'm going to start telling myself on Zoom calls.
Yeah, just tell all your students that. Look, it adds 100 pounds. Okay, Jesus.
Speaking of hydroxycut in pounds, because I'm taking in copious amounts of CNN, I also get a lot of advertising. And I saw a fascinating ad the other day, and you might have seen these before. And it's like, you know how they have those diet meal plans, and usually they're advertised for the ladies, right? Like it's
Sure.
like Marie Osmond showing us how far she can cinch her belt. And
Yeah. Yeah, well, everyone knows that it's only women that need to lose weight, Allison. Come on.
right. And so, like, maybe this is a sign of progress, in terms of gender equity. But there's a program, and I forget what it's called, but it's basically like, it's not like Weight Watchers, but it's one of those meal delivery services, but it's for men. And it's virtually the same food that's in the meal delivery services that are advertised for women, only the shots of the food is like men stabbing it, like really aggressively with their forks.
I wonder what the meeting with the marketing team was. They were like, "Look, okay, we've got to make it like the women's, except sociopathic."
Right, it's like super aggro. So yeah, they're showing big man hands stabbing this gross looking turkey breast with their fork. And then they also keep emphasizing in the commercial, I've seen it a lot because, as I said, I'm consuming a lot of television, is that you don't have to do anything. You just got to heat that shit up. Just heat it up.
Yeah, you don't got to do nothing, okay? You just got to heat that shit up, stuff it down your fucking gullet like the disgusting pig you are, and then die of heart disease at the age of 55 from microwaving all of your meals.
Yeah, pretty much. But you watch those pounds melt away. They don't even talk about it though. We all know that they're advertising to men who want to lose weight, but they don't talk at any point in the commercial about weight loss.
Yeah, they're like, look, we know you don't need to lose weight. We already know that, okay? But just in case if there was a situation in which you thought you maybe possibly wanted to maybe kind of cut back, maybe try our product.
We've got manly turkey cutlets that can take a good stabbing with your favorite fork.
Let's just say this ain't no fucking meal for pussy ass Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, this ain't Jimmy Carter's diet plan.
Oh my God.
So what are you watching in lieu of the news?
Well, yesterday I just listened to a interesting podcast called Behind the Bastards. And it's basically like a history podcast where they focus on a story and focus on the terrible people involved in the story. So, for example, the first episode, and the reason why I was so interested was the first episode was about the Black Panthers, and the FBI's obsession with the Black Panthers and how shitty of a person J. Edgar Hoover was, and so yeah.
Well, that sounds interesting. So you're doing the smart person thing and getting, your media consumption through podcasts and forums.
I'm getting educated.
Well, I last night was having a hard time sleeping, and so I laid in bed and watched 3 episodes of Bob Ross.
Excellent.
First season.
Excellent.
Have you ever watched a Bob Ross?
I have indeed, yeah.
It is remarkably relaxing.
It really is.
It's like, it's Ambien in YouTube.
Yeah, like Bob Ross was the original ASMR. You know what I mean? Like you could always hear his like brush strokes and stuff. And like he was always talking in a very low monotone voice.
Super chill.
Nothing to worry about. We're just painting stuff on a canvas, and like honestly, has the world ever really been the same since Bob Ross and Mr. Rogers died? No.
That's why we're going through the shit we're going through now, because Bob Ross died.
Thank God we still got LeVar Burton, though. You know what I mean?
We got to treasure him. We got to protect LeVar at all costs.
Yeah. Did you hear he wants to he's trying to go around to like cancer wards and stuff to read books to children during this time. I mean,
Oh, that's super nice.
He's quite an amazing man,
Yeah, I think Bob Ross would have been doing the same. But, the thing that I was thinking about on my 3rd episode of Bob Ross, and mind you, like I'm just like laying in bed with my iPad watching Bob Ross trying to fall asleep, is that on the other end of that program, when it was airing, like were people actually... I'm not old enough to remember. I mean, I remember Bob Ross being on, but contrary to popular belief, I'm not old enough to remember like actively watching Bob Ross. Were there like people at home, probably like, moms, stay-at-home moms, who were really setting up a canvas and like doing that shit with him?
I have no idea. I mean, if you're not old enough to know, I'm definitely not old enough to know.
Right. Well, here's why I'm asking the question, and I'll do some research and find some answers before next week's podcast. But if you were on the other end, like he's so calm and serene, and just to watch it is just very relaxing. But if you were on the other end trying to follow what he was doing, you'd be swearing like a motherfucker, so stressed out, so disappointed and disgusted.
Oh, dude. Within the first 5 minutes of that show, I would have already broken like 3 canvases over my knee.
Yeah, right. That might be a fun experiment for the quarantine. Is to get a canvas, get one of those big brushes and one of those whatever he calls those knives, the almighty knife.
Oh yeah, I call it like
palette.
a putty. I call it like a putty knife almost, because that's what he kind of like uses it like.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. And maybe I'll try to follow one, and I'll see because I noticed last night as I was watching by episode 2, he's doing all these, he's talking about how easy it is. He's like, see how easy that is to make that happy little tree? But he's doing all these wrist turns and these little tiny minuscule gestures that he's not conveying to the viewer. Yeah. So like if you were just taking him at his word, never take Bob Ross at his word. Because if you were
That's
just
what I've always said, never take that motherfucker at his word.
My grandma always said that, and I was I always thought, like, well, he's a nice guy. Why wouldn't you take him at his word? Now I know why.
Now you know why.
Because you would just have the shittiest looking mess of a canvas at the end of that program.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and he does. He's deceptively trying to make it seem like it's super simple. He's like, look, all you gotta do is just give it a little. He just says a bunch of general vague words too, like give it a splash here and a smear there. It's like, motherfucker, just tell me what to actually do.
I know, like what a smear looks like to me and what it looks like to Bob Ross might be two totally different things.
Jesus, man. It's like, bro, is that afro ears like fucking clouding your judgment? Because I don't know anything you're doing right now.
I love and, pour one out for Mr. Ross. I mean, he seemed like he was a great human being, but I have to call bullshit.
Yeah.
You cannot learn to paint like Bob Ross by watching Bob Ross paint.
He's probably the reason that a generation of people grew up thinking they can do shit they obviously can't do.
Like run the country.
Boop, 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 boop. Yeah.
Bob Ross is to blame for Donald Trump.
That's what we're saying here, folks. Bob Ross is the reason that Donald Trump got elected president of the United States. Don't at me, okay? Just deal with it.
Did you know that Bob Ross once tried to shake down Steven Seagal?
Please tell me that's true.
I hope it's true, but I have no. It's we can't know if it's true or not because there's no evidence either proving or disproving that theory.
He'd probably be like, "Look, bitch, I could paint you on canvas, but you'd still look ugly."
Right. He just insulted Steven Seagal. He would call him at night and just, insult him.
Yeah, he'd call him up and be like, "Hey, guess what? Chuck Norris was always a better martial artist, you son of a bitch."
Right. Nobody really knows why Bob Ross had this animosity toward Steven Seagal. It's just, it's never been proven or disproven. So therefore it's actual.
I bet you that's the reason nobody likes Jimmy Carter. I bet Jimmy Carter behind the scenes was a real asshole.
Oh, I'm sure. He seems like a real dick.
Yeah, he does.
Out there building your houses while you have
building houses.
Big deal. You're 94 years old. Like, I give a fuck.
Get the fuck over it, Jesus,
We get it.
Yeah, we building houses. Yeah, we talk a lot about Jimmy Carter on this podcast. We also talk a lot about Kentucky, which I've got another story coming out of Kentucky.
Do tell.
So, I was doing some research this week and found this article entitled "A Natural Coronavirus Experiment is Playing Out in Kentucky and Tennessee." And
that sounds great.
Yeah, doesn't it? It's always nice to talk about humans as though we're living in a giant petri dish. So actually, I talk a lot of shit about Kentucky, but Kentucky is actually on the right side of this story. Thank goodness.
What?
I'm not kidding. Kentucky actually started quarantining their state pretty early on. They started quarantining around March 6th. Tennessee, however, started quarantining a couple of weeks later. And the difference in outcomes has been drastic. And so, you've got, as of Tuesday, Kentucky is reporting 1,008 cases with 59 deaths, while Tennessee on Tuesday reported 3,802 cases with 65 deaths.
Wow. Props to Kentucky. Holy shit.
Yeah, no kidding. Kentucky really pulled ahead. It's like the Kentucky Derby. They got their horse and they're pulling ahead. And all the other horses are dying of coronavirus.
Well, I'm sorry for all these years I've underestimated Kentuckians. That's pretty fucking impressive.
Can you imagine? imagine on a smaller scale a situation like what's going on between Tennessee, the border of Tennessee and Kentucky. It's like you're living in your house and you can see your next door neighbor and you're like, hey, you should probably stay in your house. And your next door neighbor's like, nah, fuck that stupid shit. That sounds like some Jimmy Carter shit. And so he goes outside and gets sick, and then you have to watch your neighbor get sick for the next 2 weeks.
Tennessee is home to one of the worst places on earth. Do you know what that is?
Graceland?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had the great misfortune of getting to experience a Graceland tour. And apologies if we have any like hardcore Elvis fans. I'm not shitting on Elvis. I'm just shitting on this. It was like a nightmare because unless you're a huge Elvis fan, like you're really like into Elvis, it's like walking slowly. It is walking slowly through someone's house that you don't care about for 3 hours. I'm not even kidding.
God,
and spending like hours in a single room, marveling at
that must be how students who go to the White House feel.
You think?
Just fucking walking through Donald Trump's house that they don't give a fuck about.
Well, I guess when I was a kid, I didn't appreciate that stuff. Did you do the 8th grade Washington, D.C. trip? Did your school do that?
That was sadly where we went for my senior trip.
Oh, that's right. I do know that about you.
Yeah.
And that was your first time on a plane.
Yeah, that was my first time on a plane, and I had a nervous fucking breakdown.
I have a nervous breakdown every time I get on a plane, so I can't judge senior year you. But when we went, I was in the 8th grade, and I've been there since. DC's actually a really fucking cool town.
Yeah, it is. I was just too young and shitty to appreciate it. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I would have been my senior year, so you can only imagine how I was my 8th grade year.
Yeah.
You know, all of us were bored out of our minds. All we cared about was the gift shops and pizza.
Shit you could easily do at your own house. You know, fun is really wasted on young people. I swear to God, like younger than 20 years old, I think.
When I was a kid, my dad, God bless him, took us on cross-country vacations every summer. Like drove us in a van. Can you imagine driving 3 kids in a van across country?
Oh my God, not at all. Oh.
What a saint. But one year, the year I turned 13, we drove from Chicago to our fair city of Flagstaff, stayed at Little America, and then went to go see the Grand Canyon the next day. And my father has a video of me sitting in the van at the Grand Canyon reading Tiger Beat magazine.
I swear to God.
Wonder of the world, and I'm sitting in the van reading about Ralph Macchio and whoever the fuck else was in these teen magazines at the time.
I gotta say, I'm about to piss people off, but the Grand Canyon is just not that interesting to me.
I second that. We're probably going to be assassinated.
Yeah, somebody's probably going to fucking throw us off the Grand Canyon, and it will be a very boring fall to the ground. Let me tell you.
A Molotov cocktail comes through my window tonight. I'll know why.
But yeah, I mean, you know, that story reminds me of the story of my 16th birthday. There was a consumer electronics show in Phoenix at the time, and I was a very avid video game player at the time, and I was playing online games. I owned all the consoles, blah 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 blah. I was like super into video games. And so my parents told me that they had a surprise for me for my 16th birthday. And so immediately I was like, yes, they got me tickets to the Consumer Electronics Show. I'm like super excited. So we get in the car and we're driving to wherever it is we're going. I still don't know. and we're driving directly towards the Consumer Electronics Show. And it's like something out of a movie. I kid you not. I like watched as we passed by the Consumer Electronics Show as I'm sitting in the car. And so I'm like, what the fuck are we doing then? Okay. Because I thought we were going to the Consumer Electronics Show. Come to find out, my parents had bought me tickets to see Elton John live.
What?
And they were really good seats, and it was supposed to be this amazing thing, but being the shitty 16-year-old that I was that wanted to go to the Consumer Electronics Show, I was the worst human being during that fucking thing. I was not having a good time. I was like, his piano is too fucking loud. And I was just like,
You fucking saw Elton John, a living legend, live.
Yep.
And would have rather been at the Consumer Electronics Show.
Yep. See, I told you. Fun is wasted on people under the age of 20 years old.
That's like somebody being upset that they attended the Gettysburg Address when the Top Hat conference was taking place.
I'm just out in the crowd like, boo, get this on with. Go on, boo.
Booing Elton John.
No, I was saying I'm fucking
booing Lincoln.
Booing Abraham Lincoln.
You know there was some teenager in the crowd at the Gettysburg Address who was like, fucking shut up.
Jesus Christ. Fourscore, get the fuck out of here.
Shut it.
Gettysburg, Schmettysburg.
Right. And it was probably a soldier too. He was like, 13.
God damn, you're so annoying and your outfits look stupid.
I had to listen to this shit, and then tomorrow I'm gonna lose my arm and bleed out at 12.
Yeah. Die of dysentery like your whole entire family did before you.
Oh fuck. Kids. Well, I would have much rather my parents took me to see Elton John than the Grand Canyon.
I know.
I'm not outdoorsy. I'm not a hiker. I would love to see the bottom of the canyon someday, but I want to be flown down and flown back up. I don't want to put in the work.
Yeah. Look, I'm not doing any type of work. If you want to show me the bottom of this thing, you better fucking fly me down there.
They're closed anyway, so I don't have to feel guilty about it.
Jesus.
If you live in Flagstaff, you always feel a little guilty if you don't visit the canyon frequently.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've gotten over that guilt though, I've lived here long enough.
Yeah, I'm working through it. Yeah. So I don't think we're going back to Love is Blind. I think this podcast has taken
It's taken a turn, for sure. I think this format is fine. Again, to those of you that are listening, if you want something out of us, then let it be known in the comment section or, but until then, we're just going to talk about what we want to talk about and do what we want to do.
Because all bets are off right now. Nothing's normal.
Man, that should have been the name of this podcast. All bets are off.
Well, had we known about the pandemic, we would have probably made a different decision.
Yeah. I've been thinking about calling our followers Quarantinos.
I like that.
But
is that too close to Murderinos?
Whatever.
Whatever. Let's get us sued, Virgil.
You think Georgia Hardstark and Karen Kilgariff are going to sue us? Sue us.
Sponsors.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. One podcast sponsoring another. Hi, this podcast is brought to you by My Favorite Murder. Do you like making fun of murder? Well, then you'll love this podcast.
That's right. Well, that's how it's, the economy is going to change. Things are going to be different from now on. So
yeah.
That could happen.
Yeah, speaking of the economy, it was just announced that nearly 10% of the American population is filing for unemployment. And meanwhile, for some reason, the stock market is bouncing back. Why? We're all broke.
It's going to be like living in the grapes of wrath. I mean, We're gonna have to
go about the
load
goddamn
all our
Dust
shit
Bowl again.
on top of. Well, we're gonna have to load up all our shit on top of our Honda Fit. I don't know where we'd go.
Jeez, neither do I.
Um,
We probably just have to ride out the storm where we are.
I guess so. I guess so. What else you got for us, Virgil? Anything of note?
Well, let's see. What else do I got here? Oh, yeah. I wanted to talk about I've got one last thing to sort of talk about. And it's this article titled "The Rise and Spread of a 5G Coronavirus Conspiracy Theory."
Oh, shit.
Boy, people are coming out of the woodworks with these fucking conspiracy theories.
Let's hear it.
So let me read this story to you. This is coming from Wired.com. Sorry, BuzzFeed, you didn't make it. You didn't make the cut this week.
No.
And so it started with one doctor on January 22nd. Belgian newspaper Het Laatste Nieuws. I hope I'm
nice. Very nice.
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect Belgian.
Thank you. I mean, I've been working on it. The Duolingo owl won't leave me the fuck alone about it. So, published an interview with Chris van Kerschenkoven, general practitioner from Puut near Antwerp. Bunch of fucking sounds like a doctor.
Sounds very promising.
Yeah. So 5G. In the interview, he claims 5G is life-threatening. 5G meaning 5 gigahertz internet.
What?
Yeah, 5G. Like 5G internet. 4G, 5G. So he's saying 5G internet is life-threatening and no one knows it. One scientifically baseless claim in this article, published in the regional version of the paper's print edition, has since been deleted from their website, but sparked a conspiracy theory firestorm that has since torn through the internet and broken out into the real world, resulting in fires, riots, and threats.
What?
So, yeah, swear to God. So listen to the conspiracy theory itself. At the time of the outbreak in Wuhan, China, when the outbreak first began, it was about 440 people, almost all of them Chinese, in the city of Wuhan. And during this time, that newspaper had recognized that in 2019, a suspicious, quote unquote, number of 5G cell towers had been built around Wuhan.
Oh my fucking God.
So these motherfuckers are basically saying that 5G internet is causing the spread of the coronavirus.
Well, I do know that not long before the coronavirus started in this country, a crumble cookie opened up in Aspen Place.
Oh, you know what? Wow, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I've always thought that crumble cookie was behind this whole shit.
Well,
have you ever noticed
that coincidence that crumble cookie arrived in our town and then people started getting coronavirus?
You know what? I don't believe in coincidences. So, you know what? I think they're 100% behind it.
Deep State.
Deep State.
Crumble is a sponsor. So we're just kidding, Crumble.
Yeah, Crumble, don't hate us. Crumble cookies. Do you like cookies that are so soft they almost fall apart in your hands, but also don't somehow? Well, then try Crumble cookie, because they're delicious and filled with sugar.
Yeah. Sarah likes crumble cookie, and I've been trying to limit my sugar intake to almost nothing as of late. But I had to have a bite because it's a big deal to spend that much fucking money on some cookies.
Yeah.
And I did, and when you haven't had sugar for a while and then you have it, it's so intense, it's almost uncomfortable.
Well, especially from Crumble. I mean, their cookies are basically just compressed sugar dough with like liquid sugar on top.
That must be why. I mean, I wasn't that impressed. And I don't know if, like, a year ago, if I had a crumble cookie when I was accustomed to eating, a lot more sugar, if I would have been like, holy shit, this is amazing. But I was not amazed. I was actually made a little uncomfortable by the intensity of sugar.
Well, Allison, I guess you can say that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Mm.
Womp, womp, womp.
Well, we solved a lot of mysteries today,
We did. I swear to God, I think we've cracked this case. It goes
Wide open.
Putin, then Steven Seagal, then Donald Trump, then hydroxychloroquine.
And crumble cookies.
And crumble cookies. Well, I think that crumble cookie is Steven Seagal's main dietary form. So
That's true. So,
but yeah, so you guys stay away from the 5G cell towers because they're jam packed with coronavirus radiation waves.
I had no idea.
Yeah, well, now you know, so you can never say you're in the dark.
Well,
And I swear to God, the first thing that the article mentions is the word deep state. The deep state's everywhere.
they're even in Wuhan, China.
Yeah, the government State Department is.
This is how I don't get, for the vast majority of conspiracy theories, how people believe them. Why the fuck would the deep state, which is, as we've talked about before on this podcast, supposedly Obama, the Clintons, Valerie Jarrett, Adam Schiff.
George Soros, he's like the shadowy leader.
That's right, and he pays everybody to care about stuff.
Bro, that guy looks like he can barely even get up out of bed in the morning.
Shit, hope he doesn't get corona, because he's paying me every time I talk about politics. I'm getting a check from George Soros.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm a paid. Yeah. I forgot I'm on his payroll as a paid actor.
I have shit ton of money from George Soros. No, I don't. But the thing is, like, with this conspiracy about the 5G network and if it's connected to the quote unquote deep state. If the deep state wanted to like kill a bunch of people or like crash an economy, why wouldn't they do it in like New York City or London or, like a big hub of economic activity? Why would they fucking pick Wuhan, China?
I don't know, man. Ask them why they started the plague in China, because I'm sure the deep state was operating all the way back then.
Probably. Shit. Now we've just started a new conspiracy theory.
Yeah. The United States deep state started the plague.
Even though there wasn't even a United States during the bubonic plague.
Well, that's just a piece of non-relevant data, okay? That's an outlier.
And we don't know that for sure.
Yeah, we don't know when the United States was made and when it wasn't, okay?
That we don't.
No, we don't.
We don't have any pictures. We don't have any...
Yeah, picture it didn't happen, okay? That's what I always say.
No, we have no photographs. We have no TikToks of people signing the Constitution. Who fucking knows?
Oh my God. I would have loved to seen Thomas Jefferson twerking in front of the table while he's signing the Declaration of Independence.
And he's all excited because he's like going to go crazy on TikTok.
He's like, yo, all ass cheeks are created equal.
Been an amazing addition to our social media.
Yo, can you imagine if they would have tweeted out the Constitution? They're like, yo, check out this fly ass document.
How many tweets would they have to fucking tweet?
Holy shit, that would be like a year's worth of tweets.
Oh, I haven't read the Constitution in a minute.
I read through like the amendments periodically, but I haven't read through like the preamble and the Article 1 or whatever in a while.
I've consulted amendments via Google, but I mean I haven't I don't think I ever sat down and read the Constitution.
Oh no?
I don't know that I ever had to.
Yeah.
I probably did. I probably was just bored.
Yeah. You're like, whatever, fucking rights, get out of here.
Exactly.
Get these fucking rights out of my face.
Right, get these rights. That was me in 8th grade standing in front of the Constitution. Get these rights out of my face.
Get these fucking rights out
So
of my
I can go get some soggy ass pizza and some space ice cream.
space ice cream. Oh my god. Well, Allison, do you have anything you want to add before we wrap her up?
I don't. I just hope that everyone's staying safe and that you are obeying the stay-at-home. Well, we don't have a stay-at-home order in Arizona, I guess, or we sort of do, or maybe don't.
Who knows at this point? But
If you like being alive, and you like people you love to be alive, then stay in your house. Well, Virgil, you want to do the sign-off?
yes, ma'am. You know what it is. This has been Nothing Gained
Nothing ventured.
with Allison
And Virgil.
Bye.
Bye.